This is Mike, and welcome to episode number 224 of the EcomCrew podcast. So glad to have you guys along with us today. Got a great episode lined up for today. This is one of these things where you try to get people on the show that you really want to talk to, and a piece of software that you've heard me talk about that I use every day, like literally every single day. I have a bit of a problem, actually, if anything, because I probably log into it too much, is Sellics. And today I have the owner, the creator of Sellics on the show with us. Before digging into that, I do want to mention 5-minute pitch one more time. I know you guys probably are sick of hearing me talk about it, but I'm gloating with pride with this project. And I just want to mention one more time, another great comment that came in here. This one was great episode, very thoughtful and respectful feedback to the contestant, which I appreciated. The judges are providing a lot of value added and holding firm on a vision of a product with potential to disrupt the market, which I think will drive success for the show and contestants. That's awesome to hear someone see what we really wanted to convey, right? We really want to, first of all, give value. That's kind of the whole idea here, is to help not only the people that are coming on the show, but the people watching it to get in our headspace and understand why we can come up with this stuff so quickly, because we've been breathing this stuff day in and day out. Scott Volker, Steve Chu, Greg Mercer, myself, we all are Amazon sellers. We're all e-commerce sellers. We're all business owners, and we've been doing this stuff day in and day out. And without even realizing it, you become this stuff becomes second nature. And we realize that we're giving back to the community for people that are a generation before us, right? That they're just getting started or earlier on in their journey, and they're learning a lot from this. And it's awesome to see that this stuff is coming through in the comments and that we are helping people, which is awesome. So go over to 5minutepitch.com/launch to check that out today. Again, 5minutepitch.com/launch. And if that wasn't enough, there's $6,000 in giveaways over on that page as well. A chance to win a bunch of really cool stuff over at the number 5minutepitch.com/launch. All right. So right after the introduction here, we're going to get into this interview with Franz about Sellics. It was a great interview. It's just always interesting to hear how things come to be, the features and the functionalities, and how the people that make the software perceived how they're being used, and then how they actually are being used in our business in real life. Definitely a great interview. If you sell on Amazon at all, I recommend checking out Sellics. Just always try to say this type of stuff. Before an interview, this was not paid. We reached out to him. We do get some free software now. That's actually something I did want to mention. When I talked to him about this after the interview, he did offer some free software, so I did want to mention that. But that was certainly not necessary to come do the interview, and I appreciate the software, which is cool. It's a perk of doing the EcomCrew podcast, is you get stuff like that. But we aren't affiliates and things of that nature. So go check out Sellics. It is definitely good stuff. We use it in our business every day, and I hope you guys enjoy the interview.
Welcome to the EcomCrew podcast, the web's most transparent podcast from two seven-figure sellers who share the good, bad, and the ugly about running an e-commerce business. You'll learn how we build our brands, find products, and develop marketing strategies that will help you start and grow your own $1 million e-commerce brand. And now your hosts, Mike Jackness and Dave Bryant.
Hey, Franz, welcome to the EcomCrew podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to share the next couple of minutes, 30 minutes or so with you.
Yeah, for sure. I actually think I'm probably more excited than you are, because Sellics, I was telling you right before we started to record here that it's the one piece of software that I log into every single day. I think I use it more than Facebook and social media in general. Like, I'm on my phone using the phone app and always just kind of looking at what my sales are doing. So it's exciting to have you on here.
Well, I'm glad to hear this. You know, it's always good to meet customers and talk to customers and users that have been using Sellics for such a long time. I mean, I think, you know, when do you know when you joined? Was it like 2016 or 2017 or?
I think it would have been 2016. That? I mean, it was pretty early
2016.
on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, very early on. So you've seen the changes and the development since then. Well, cool.
I have, yeah. I mean, it was actually
that's very exciting.
A lot of cool stuff's happened. I mean, to me, the coolest thing that happened was the Ppc automation, which we're definitely going to talk about on the show. But that was something that was just like, okay, well, I'm obviously never getting rid of Sellics now because it saves so much time. But I don't want to jump too far ahead. I like starting kind of chronologically, and I'm just curious how this even came to be, because I don't know the backstory of how how Sellics came to be. I mean, were you a seller and this is a tool that you made for yourself, or was it just something you saw an opportunity in the marketplace and you went for it?
Actually not. So it's been we saw the opportunity. I mean, or in fact, we've been pushed on this opportunity in some way, because a friend of mine, and that's back in early 2014, late 2013 even, he was selling on Amazon, and so he knew that. So me and my current co-founder Joseph, he's the tech guy, I'm the business guy essentially, and so we had a business before where we were very much focused on web scraping, so extracting data from websites, and so knowing that we're good at scraping, this friend of mine who was selling on Amazon, he came up to us and basically asked whether we could scrape his rankings and build a ranking tracking tool for him, so that he could start doing some optimizations on Amazon. And so our first reaction was like, come on, man, there must be some solutions out there. There's no need for us to build yet another solution, the 50th Amazon SEO
right.
solution. But the reality was that we were typing in Amazon SEO in Google, and we literally got 3 results. So it was a time where this entire Amazon SEO industry was not really existing. And so I think that when we launched Sellics, Sellics was definitely one of the very first tools. I think there were very, very few other tools out there before. I mean, it's always hard to tell exactly, but it felt like we were really very, very much on our own at the very beginning.
Yeah, and now it's a pretty crowded space.
Now, I mean, I don't know how you see it, but to me it feels like it's like, there have been like 2 waves. So that, it started like 2015, 2016. It was crazy. There were hundreds of softwares, popping up everywhere. Then, 2017 went down a little bit. So many of those tools disappeared again. And so, 2018 was maybe a new rise of, the kind of the second wave where there were a lot of Ppc tools in particular popping out everywhere again. So, that's how I see the industry. I don't know what you observe from your end.
Yeah, no, I've seen the same thing happen, and I have some inside knowledge just from not in this particular niche, but like I've done software development before. So probably what happened is people had these bright starry ideas of like how they were going to create some Amazon tools and SaaS products, and the money would just start falling in from the sky, and it would be like they wouldn't know how to spend it all. And then they realized like how freaking hard it is to develop software and gave up, because it's not easy. And the problem, like the real problem is that it's never done. Like there is no finish line when it comes to software. And you're also playing with like moving goalposts when because you're relying on APIs and other interfaces with something like Amazon, who can change stuff at a moment's notice. I mean, I'm sure they don't call you and say, hey, man, they just want to let you know 2 months from now we're about to make this big change and you should start preparing for it.
That is certainly so on top of all the difficulties that you have in any software business, the reliance and the dependency that we have from Amazon and on Amazon is basically an extra challenge. I must say though that Amazon has made some significant investments. So I think at this point we have partner managers, and they keep us in the loop, and they try to align the roadmap and these kind of things, and they actively ask for our feedback. And so I think Amazon has made some great changes there over the past year and a half or so. But it's true that for the longest time, particularly when we started, it was basically we were sometimes finding APIs that they were not documented, no nothing. It was just basically playing around a little bit and trying to understand what the hell this API was doing. So it was the Wild West for a very long time, and I think it's getting a bit more structured now, but still not that easy to build these kind of softwares.
Yeah. The thing that I got out of that is immense jealousy. The fact that they actually seem to talk to you. As a multi-million-dollar Amazon seller, I can't seem to get them to come talk to me. So you're lucky that you got a line of communication with them.
Well, I think they rolled out. Didn't they roll out a service like where you can basically pay an account manager or something for you, like a specialist? I heard at least they were betaing this program.
They do have that. It's $3,500. Well, it's $2,500 a month if you're sub 1 million. It's $3,500 a month if you're in the range that we are, which is 1 to 10 million. And if you're 10 million plus, it's $4,500. And I don't know. Like I know some people that have taken advantage of that, and for the most part, most people have ultimately been disappointed over a 6-month period of time, because sometimes it starts out good and kind of erodes, but I don't know. Like I find it to be like the ultimate slap in the face, where it's just like, wait, you want me, because we're so successful on your platform, you want me to pay for support? Like this is like unprecedented in any other industry or any other, anything else in life. I mean, like if you are someone's best customer, you usually get better treatment, not told, well, if you want me to actually help you, you're going to have to pay, $50,000 a year for the right to have someone actually help you. I don't know. I just find it to be like the ultimate slap in the face.
It is, well, it's certainly, I think that, if my view on this is that, Amazon looks at the market. And so it's a marketplace, right? So you bring together sellers and end consumers, and they think that, the end consumer is just a much more valuable part in this equation. And so their logic, at least that's my opinion, their logic is that, if we bring the end consumer, then sellers are going to come no matter what, no matter how crappy the service, no matter how expensive, no matter how bad the tools and everything. So they focus a lot more on the end consumer side and less on the seller side. Even though, again, I would also argue that this has changed a little bit in the past, but I agree that it's very uncommon to to spend $4,500 for getting support, right?
Yeah. I mean, I can tell you that I don't have to pay Sellics for extra support. You guys do a great job with support when I do have a question. There's an interface right in the software, and you don't pay extra for it. So that's just typically how it works. But anyway, enough Amazon bashing. I do want to talk about Sellics and some of the features there. Maybe just to start out with, if you wanted to, like in your own words, just talk about what Sellics is. Like how would you define what Sellics is as a platform, and where do you see it going in the future?
So I think Sellics has evolved. So we started in the Amazon SEO space, right? So our first version was really about just ranking, tracking, and ranking optimization. And so over time, by listening to what our customers want from us, we have evolved into what we call today an all-in-one software for Amazon sellers. So today the goal is to provide everything that you need as a seller to manage and grow your business on Amazon. That's what we do today. So some of the most important features are obviously still SEO, still big, but also the Ppc Manager that you mentioned before. So managing, analyzing, and automating your PPC campaigns. Then we have the profit dashboard that is used very heavily. So analyzing your exact profitability. That is certainly a feature that many like. And then, it goes all the way to product research and review management and inventory management and, pretty much, again, everything that you need as a seller to manage and grow your business on Amazon. So the only thing that we don't really touch is on the taxation side. That's something that we don't feel we're the best position to service this, but everything outside of this, when it comes to the operational side and the promotional side of your products on Amazon, our goal is to cover this and be the one solution where you log in every morning, you have your dashboard that tells you how you're doing and whether you need to take action.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly how I use the software. I mean it's like I said, I log in multiple times a day, and I don't do it as much as I used to. When I first started selling on Amazon, I was much more obsessive about checking my stats. It's usually more once or twice a day now. It's not quite as bad, but obviously like Amazon, you can log in and check just your sales. But the thing I love about the Sellics dashboard is it shows things on a SKU by SKU basis in like a very clear, concise format. So you can see, I sold 12 of this widget and 50 of that widget, and then you can drill down on an item by item basis and see what's going on there with that. And then you mentioned SEO and rankings. So, we're obviously constantly looking at that as well. And so we have a bunch of keywords loaded in there, and then we'll log in and drill into individual SKUs and see over time, like in a very visual, like graphical format, where we rank for particular keywords. And we can see if some of the things that we've done, changes we've made on the platform, are helping us with our, in a positive or negative way with our keyword rankings. And so, it's just, again, I find it to be like this indispensable tool in our business at this point when selling on Amazon.
Yeah, so our goal is really, so we want to do two things. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to tell you how you perform, right? So that's the profit dashboard. Yep. I made money, I lost money, so how you perform. But then the other side is also why did you perform the way that you performed, right? Because only if you know the why, only then you can really take action and change your performance, right? So if I tell you you lose money, but you don't understand why you're losing money, then it's hard to, to turn it around. So we always talk about internal data. That is the data essentially from the seller. That is, all the sales and conversion rate and impressions and all these data points. And then we try to add, external data, which is more context information and environmental information. Like how many reviews that you receive, how are your competitors doing, how are your rankings changing, so that you really have the performance and also the why behind. That is kind of how we look at this, to really enable sellers to take precise action and not just be happy. Oh, I sold more units today, but you don't understand why.
Gotcha. Yeah. Let's talk about that a little, because we use the profit dashboard as well. There was a couple breakthroughs that we had as a business as we were looking at that. One of which, because it'll show you, percentage of sales that are coming from PPC and the true cost of advertising and all the other costs that go into it, which helped us just reprice things better and also get our advertising costs under control. But maybe there's some things I'm missing. So what are things that you recommend looking at, like on the profit dashboard, and those cause and effect measurables that you were just talking about? Like, what are those things that you can be looking at to make effective change?
So on the profit dashboard, it's exactly the things that you pointed out. But so what you can do, starting from the profit dashboard. So on the profit dashboard, you have a list of all your products, right? And you see exactly the margin per product. And so starting from this point, you can basically click on a product, and it will take you to the product dashboard. And so on the product dashboard, you have this one view where you basically have, at the top, you have, your sales and revenue numbers. And then right below, you have all the figures that are basically impacting your sales and revenue. So the way I look at it is, sales is essentially, the units that you sell is essentially sessions times conversion rates, right? And so if your sales are going up or down, the first question I always ask myself is, okay, well, is it a conversion rate problem or is it a session problem? And then depending on what it is, the next step is very different. So if it's a session problem, which means that, you're getting less traffic and less customers on your page, then this typically indicates either an issue with your organic rankings, or it indicates an issue with your advertising, where you just get less visibility. So it's a problem of generating more traffic, right? On the other side, if it's a conversion rate problem, that means you still get the same amount of traffic that you used to get before, but for some reason those clients those visitors are not converting at the same rate than they used to convert before. And so there it's getting a bit more complex, because it's quite difficult to always pinpoint what's driving conversion rate. But typical things would be you received a negative review, you have some of your content has been changed by some other people. You have a competitor that's bidding very aggressively on your product, and now is showing very prominently in the sponsored section on the product detail page. So then there are multiple reasons of why conversion rate is dropping. But I think in terms of methodology, I think you start at the top. You say, well, okay, units equals sessions time conversion rate, and then you try to break it down to really get to the level. And so this product dashboard view really allows you to see all those metrics. So you can see sessions, you can see conversion rates, you can see the rankings, you can see the price, you can see the reviews, you can see BSR, and all those metrics right next to each other, so that you can exactly understand, okay, what is driving my performance today.
Yeah, it definitely makes a lot of sense. I'm going to use an example here. I just picked up while we were talking the last 30 days of a particular, I just picked a random SKU here, just to let the audience know some of the stuff that you can get from this, which has been incredibly helpful for us. So this SKU, we've sold $23,032 gross sales. And so you can look at, within Sellics, like the breakdown of where those sales are coming from. So $293 of it was from shipping income. $2,134 of it are from PPC sponsored product sales. So that's 9% of our sales for this SKU are coming through PPC, which I find that piece of data alone to be, this happens to be low. I didn't cherry pick this product, but I guess I kind of did, because it's lower than normal for sure. But I can see that, and there's, other products I'll see that, have a very high percentage, and we realize that we're not ranking organically and we're having problems, there. And it also will show headline, search ads as well. This particular product has 0. I'm not sure why it's not showing up in headline search ads. It might be the fact that we don't have 3 products to actually put together a headline search ad. And then the organic sales are 89%, or $20,604. But the other part that I love is you can also, go in here and look at the costs. So it will, show you, in this particular case, we had $14,095 in cost. But, so the FBA fees are 14% of that. The Amazon fees, which makes sense, are 15%. But we can look at also PPC costs, which was 2% of our overall cost. And,
wow.
And again, that's low. I realize that this one's low. That's not typical. I just picked, we're on the phone here, so I just quickly, picked the first thing that was at the top of this list. But, promo value, shipping cost, actual cost of goods, because you can load in what you're paying for these goods. And then it, shows you like a true profit number. It's like a modified gross profit, number, right? It's, or a quasi net profit number, depending on which angle you want to look at it from. But, I can look at this SKU and say, okay, well, I made $8,937 in the last 30 days off this SKU. Our profit margin is 39%. And we can start, targeting these levels. And we can look, when I looked at all of our products and just started realizing, things that are above the median bar and things that are below the median bar and things I could do to affect change on things that were underperforming, mostly which was like lowering PPC, bidding and raising our price. Cause at the end of the day, there just wasn't enough margin there. And so, I just didn't have a really good feel for this until then. And there was even, a couple of things that we were actually losing money on. Like this is stuff that people don't ever admit or talk about, but this is what happens in business. And we like to be honest about stuff on this podcast. But, man, I tell you, it was super helpful going in a profit dashboard and sorting by, I did like trailing 30 days, and then I sorted by, well, you can sort by margin, but I sorted by profit, just the number, just to see the sheer number. But I did it upside down. So I did it, so the smallest number was at the top, and it revealed things that we were losing money on. I was like, holy crap, we're actually losing money, selling these products on Amazon. And that doesn't make any sense. That's not what we're in business for. And, it uncovered that. And it happens so easily because you're rushing from day to day to do a bunch of different things. And you see the sales of a particular product, but don't really understand what you might be spending on advertising or other costs that go into this. And, there were several products that we were actually upside down on. And actually I'm doing it right now. There's still a couple here that, they're newer products, so we expect these to be here. But these are things I think that are just big leaks in people's business. At least it wasn't our business. Maybe people out there are smarter than I am, and I'm just the only challenged person in the room. But I definitely thought it was interesting when I saw that.
So I would. So one of the things that we get quite on a quite regular basis is actually, people reach out through our, through our support. And, they complain about a bug in the profit dashboard because it's showing negative profit. And so, then we look into this and well, unfortunately, it's not a bug. It's really you're losing money. And, so the two main reasons for this are typically, either the price is way too low, or ad spend is way too high. So that's what we see most often. In some cases, like you mentioned, when it's a new product, what we see is that, you lose money because the advertising, specifically the coupon side. So because you see, if you do some promos, you see the promo value that you hand out essentially in Sellics as well. And so, the promo value, if you use coupons to launch a product, the promo value sometimes is eating up your entire margin and a lot more, right? Which you kind of expect when you launch a product, so that's fine in most cases. But if you've been selling a product for 2 years at the same price and you run the same campaigns, and then you log into Sellics and you see that you've been losing money with every box that you send out, you basically, you didn't just box the product, but you put an extra, $5 or so on in this box as well and shipped it out to the customer. That is, it's quite revealing. And while some users are quite upset about those findings at the beginning, eventually they're happy to find it out now, right? Because every day and every shipment that you wait or you find out later, it's basically an extra loss. So I think this is extremely important. And so we have more updates coming to the product dashboard essentially. So we will allow you to. I think the most meaningful change is that we will allow you to actually add additional costs. So currently you can upload your cost of goods, but the reality is that, you as a business, you also have other costs, right? Except for cost of goods. You might have, personnel expenses, or, rent, or, some software that you use, or, whatever it is. And so you will be able to upload, not just the cost of goods, but also those extra costs and those common costs, essentially, or general expenses. And then you will be able to attribute those expenses to the individual products and so on, so that you can you basically don't just see the variable costs of selling on Amazon, but also the fixed costs that you have as a seller.
Yeah, that's awesome. Definitely looking forward to having that come out, because I'm sure that'll be even more eye-opening. I mean, these are things I think that we have pretty under control now. We've been studying this stuff in our business, but I mean, overhead's a definite factor, and if you have a warehouse, employees, like you said, software. I mean, like Sellics or Skubana, which we also use, or Klaviyo, and all these different SaaS tools, they add up, and insurance, and like I said, there's just a ton of other expenses that are people just often aren't thinking about that go into the business.
What are the other channels that you're selling on? Because it sounds like Skubana, I assume, is for multi-channel, right?
Yeah, so we sell on Shopify and also like eBay, Etsy. We were doing some stuff on Walmart, but we stopped doing it because we do all of our fulfillment through Amazon, and Walmart wouldn't allow Amazon fulfillment anymore. So, but yeah, we do some multi-channel stuff.
Oh, cool. All right, that's exciting. And so, do you see Amazon's share, growing in revenue, or is it pretty stable, or even going down?
So Amazon share has been growing quicker than our other channels, which is really frustrating for me, because I don't like having all of my eggs in one basket. So it's starting to feel a little bit just too lopsided towards Amazon. But no matter how hard I try, it just seems like Amazon continues to grow faster. We put all this effort into trying to get non-Amazon sales, and the sales just end up on Amazon anyway. I mean, a lot of the things that we do have a halo effect on Amazon, though, and part of it, is our fault for allowing it to get that big, because we push a lot of our initial sales, at least, to Amazon to try to get products to rank and stuff like that. So, I don't know, it just depends on what day you catch me on, like how happy I am about the situation, but it's definitely, Amazon is continuing to grow quicker for us than off Amazon.
Yeah, that's certainly. I was just doing some research about the market share, and so in the U.S., Amazon in e-commerce is 49% market share. Mm-hmm. That's up from 43% last year. So they grew by 6% in market share, over 2018. The second biggest platform is eBay, and they have something like 6.8% market share. So they basically grew by the market share of the second biggest player.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's just crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's definitely kind of nuts, and we're surfing on the wave as long as we can. That's kind of how I feel about it. I mean, I know everything changes, and who knows where the future is going to be, but it's been a great ride so far. I mean, at the end of the day, because I have had a lot of frustrations with Amazon, and we've talked about a lot of them on the podcast, but at the end of the day, it's still the easiest freaking platform to sell on. I mean, like when we sell something off Amazon, it's more work, it costs us more money. There's more, just stuff in our ecosystem we have to worry about, like in our headspace. So at the end, like I said, at the end of the day, like Amazon just is a great place for sellers like us. It just, there's a lot of the problem that ends up happening, and we don't need to get like too down this rabbit hole on this podcast, but whenever there's a lot of money to be made and people are, this gold rush effect, bad things percolate out of that. I mean, just like at any other time in history, whenever there's a great opportunity like there is on Amazon right now, it brings a certain element of people that are just in it for the money, or they're willing to, sell for less and do a race to the bottom, or they're willing to do unscrupulous things like, negative review bombs or fake product returns and, all kinds of, the dirty stuff I've seen happen over the last like 18 months, has grown by way more than 6%. That's for sure. Cause like a lot of people are jumping on that stuff, but we just keep our head down and hope that we don't get in the crossfire that much, and hope that also that Amazon's working on solutions to fix this because it's in their best interest.
So I think that's the good news. So I was talking to Amazon. So part of the, I think we're quite happy that, and quite fortunate that, by now do have a more regular exchange with Amazon. And so, one of the things that we try to get across is what are the interests of the seller community. And so, we try to highlight developments to Amazon where we think that this is not in the interest of good intending sellers. And so, one of the things that that we talked. So I met with Amazon I think 2 weeks ago or so, and so I was telling them about a lot of those tricks that are happening now with particularly around reviews. So in the past you used to create fake reviews for your own products. Now you create fake reviews for your competitors' products so that Amazon finds out about it, and you get blocked for creating fake reviews that you didn't order, obviously. And so it was very good for me to see that Amazon definitely is aware of all those things happening. So I think it would be a mistake to assume that Amazon is not knowing about the things that are going on, and so they are working on solutions. It's kind of a this cat and mouse game. I don't know if you say it in English, but so in German at least you have a cat and mouse game.
Yeah,
right?
That's exactly how it translates. It's funny that's the same in German.
Right. So it's this cat and mouse situation where you basically Amazon closes something, and then there's a new thing coming up again, and so it's always going back and forth. And so I think the best the best thing probably you can do as a seller is to just stay nimble and basically don't assume that whatever you do today will be the same success factor 5 years from now. So it might change. And so I tell this, or I give this advice to the sellers, and in fact that's one of the big things that we try to do at Sellics as well, because just the same way that sellers are dependent on Amazon, we're also dependent on Amazon. And so we try to have the same philosophy that we don't know what's going to happen with Amazon and their APIs and so on. And so we try to stay flexible and constantly innovate and be prepared for changes, right? I think that's an important mindset to have when you sell on Amazon.
Yeah, and really anything, right? I mean, anything in life. Things are always, the only thing constant is change.
Well said. By the way, that's also that translates directly into German as well. So
perfect. So we're getting close to running out of time here, and I want to be respectful of your time. The one thing we didn't get a chance to talk about yet is actually my favorite feature, which is the Ppc Manager. So I'm going to let you talk about it a little bit, because it's your baby, and I'll probably get too long-winded. So just tell everybody a little bit about the Ppc Manager and why it's so freaking awesome.
Well, I think that there are a ton of things that make it pretty awesome. But I think so generally speaking, the Ppc Manager is a feature in Sellics that allows you to manage, analyze, and automate your sponsored products and also sponsored brand campaigns on Amazon. And so I think that the three main reasons why the top three selling points, I'd say, for the Ppc Manager. First of all, you have a lot of the workflows that you need to do to manage your campaigns are a lot easier to do with Sellics. So a typical workflow is you have an auto campaign, and on a regular basis you will copy or transfer those best performing search terms from the auto campaign into a manual campaign, right? That's something that many sellers and advertisers do. And so while in Seller Central this is quite cumbersome, where you need to make exports and then filter in Excel and so on, and then upload again, in Sellics basically you just click on a campaign, you filter for your best performing search term, you select all of them, and then you just have a button that says transfer to other campaign. And so by essentially just one click, you can transfer keywords from one campaign to another campaign. While you do this, you can also pause them in your source campaign if you follow this strategy, right? And so there are many of those things that are quite painful if you do it through Seller Central, of the workflows that are a lot easier, and basically the workflows are designed right in Sellics. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, and I think that's something that gets many people excited, is the automation that we offer in Sellics. So the way I look at it is that basically when you manage sponsored products campaigns on Amazon, it's basically you're constantly repeating the same steps over and over again. So at the beginning you sit down and you define your strategy, but then executing the strategy is basically the same thing over and over again. And so our thinking was that, well, why should a seller waste his or her time constantly doing the same thing over and over again if you can just automate this? And so what you can do in Sellics is you can set up rules that will, manage your campaigns following those rules that you define. So a typical rule would be, if the ACOS is too high, then I want to lower my bid by 20% or so, right? So if the ACOS is above 20%, I want to lower my bid by, 10% or something like this, right? And so this just takes away all the manual work and all the time that you need to, otherwise you would need to log in every day or every second day and manage your campaigns, and they'll do all of this. And that's very time consuming. And so you can reduce all this time that you need to manage your campaigns while, and this is very important, while still staying in control of what is going on, right? So that's important. It's not a black box in Sellics where, you press a button and we automate your campaigns for you, but you have no idea what the hell is going on. But it's quite the opposite. So the way that we look at this is like you build your own algorithm by, using and building those rules. And then the third thing I believe that is very relevant and extremely helpful to sellers is that we have this visualization where we show you all the changes that happened and again how this affected your performance. So what happens if you run campaigns, and particularly if you have hundreds of campaigns or so, you make so many changes. You add keywords, you pause keywords, change bids, create campaigns, all these kind of things. And so you do so many of those things every day that, basically you have no idea of what you did, 3 days ago, because, there's just so much going on. And again, the same idea of, we want to show you how you perform, but also why you perform the way you perform. We track all those changes automatically for you, and we display them in a very easily and intuitive, graphical way so that you can see what changes were made and then what impact it has again on your performance. So I think, and the reality is only by doing this, only by looking at what you did and how it impacted your performance, only this way you will really be able to learn and understand what's actually working when it comes to sponsored products and what is not working, right? So I'd say that those are the three main aspects. I don't know. Well, maybe, a fourth one. Let me just add a fourth one. So we have an integration of the Ppc Manager with the profit dashboard so that you can actually see net profitability per campaign. So most people always look at ACOS, but ACOS is not really telling you a lot, right? So it's really, how much actual profit are you making, taking into account not just the advertising spend, but also, shipping costs and FBA fees and advertising commissions, but also cost of goods, right? And so as we have all this data on the profit dashboard, we can also display you this data for, per campaign and per keyword, in fact, right? So you see exactly how much, money you make or you lose per keyword. So that's the bonus, number 4.
Yeah, I mean, well said. I mean, definitely couldn't have said it that well myself, but I'll tell you that the before and after of before Sellics came out with all those features you just mentioned, and what the net result for us has been is, number one, we had a person that was their full-time job, or very close to it. They were spending about 85% of their time doing PPC. We have hundreds of products, so we're a more advanced seller. I realize that not everyone has this many products and it takes up this much time, but it was basically a full-time job for her to just be on top of PPC, finding those keywords that you were mentioning, extracting them from automatic campaigns, putting them in manual campaigns, and then bidding up and down. And it was she did as good of a job as she possibly could with the situation, which is that it was basically impossible to really keep track of all the changes that you made and not just start second guessing yourself of did I raise this thing too much or lower too much, or didn't I just lower this? Now I'm raising it, and you're just kind of all over the place. It was getting to the point where it was difficult. And even though she was doing it almost full time, she still again couldn't really quite get as good of results as we wanted. And over the preceding few months after Sellics came out with the auto bidding feature and we started implementing this stuff, she now spends a couple hours a month looking into it because it's almost all automated. Yeah. And our ACOS has dropped from 30-ish down to 23, which is added immense profitability to our business. We've saved 5 figures a month, literally 5 figures a month on wasted PPC spend is now out the door, and it's added tremendous value to our business. And it didn't affect our sales at all. Our sales didn't drop at all. It was just basic wasted spend. We were just overbidding on too much stuff. So, the net result for us has been awesome. And, I mean, I definitely want to thank you for coming on and talking about Sellics today. And, I wanted to ask like some of the future stuff that Sellics is coming out with, but we kind of ran out of time. So some other time we'll have to have you back on and talk about some of the new features and things that you guys are working on, because I'd love to hear about it. But I do have one personal question I want to ask real quick that
Sure.
I've been wondering about with the software that I miss dearly, which is it used to report conversion rates on the product like cockpit view or the product ranking view. Is that something that you think is going to come back? Yeah, because like I just assumed that it was like an API thing that Amazon changed and got rid of that information, and but I'm hoping that's something that might come back someday.
So the way that we got this data point is by basically scraping Seller Central, right? And so there are various changes that basically made this close to impossible. And so I think I would assume that this feature will possibly come back, but then in a different way. So in a way that Amazon is actually providing a real API for it. But I get that this is a very very relevant feature. It's being asked a lot, and trust me, I'm probably one of the biggest advocates for this feature. So we've been thinking about different ways how to get it, but at this point, I cannot give you any data. So I think it's very much dependent on can we actually convince Amazon to share this data, because this data is actually so valuable right, for sellers, right? That it simplifies your selling activities dramatically. And so I hope that we can convince Amazon.
Yeah, I mean for us it was probably the most relevant data point for us that we would look, and now we have to go out back in Seller Central and try to find this, and it's not plotted out in that visual way, and it's not easy, but what we found is that by getting your conversion rate up, that was like the most effective way to boost your organic rankings. So we were spending a lot of time on split testing and trying things and seeing if it can move the needle from a conversion rate perspective, but now it's a lot harder for us to get that data than it was before. So that's why I wanted to ask.
Well, I'm very glad you asked. It's always important, that one of the values that we have at Sellics is listen to the customer, right? And so it's always important to get this kind of feedback. And so we keep track of all the requests that we have, and so I'm just going to add an extra request to this feature. And I definitely I am 100% on your side there. I think it is tremendous value, and so. What I'm wondering a little bit is if you have a 2016 account, because it's running for some of the old accounts still. So if you have a 2016 account, I will look into this. I'll see if there's anything we can make happen, at least for you, right? Cool. Even though we would like to have a solution for the entire customer base that we serve. But maybe there's something we can do for you.
I'm an only child. I only care about myself. I'm kidding, obviously, but yeah, I mean, I'd love to have that feature. That would be cool.
I'd be wondering why you did the podcast if you just
Oh man, well, again, thank you so much, Franz, for coming on today. It's been awesome talking to you. Hopefully, our paths will cross in person someday at one of these events, or when you're. Yeah. I know you're coming to the States soon, but I'm not going to be where you're going to be right now, but hopefully one day we'll.
At the Prosper Show, actually. I don't know if you plan to go to a Prosper Show.
I just had someone else ask me about that. I made a commitment starting last year to only go to events that I speak at, because I did 7 last year, and that's like way more than enough. And I'd love to go to Prosper, but until they invite me to speak, I'm going to just stick with the ones I'm speaking at.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's a great event, though. But yeah, I mean, I get it. Like, events are very time consuming, and I get that 7 events is definitely too much.
That's enough.
But well, I'm pretty sure we're gonna meet at some point. And so thanks for having me on the show. I really appreciate this.
Of course.
And thanks for having me.
Thank you as well. And that's a wrap, folks. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the EcomCrew podcast. You can go to ecomcrew.com/224 to get to the show notes for this episode. And if you have a newer or intermediary e-commerce business, you're just kind of getting started, especially if you're looking to import from China or you're looking to build a 7-figure brand, launch products on Amazon, those are the free courses that we offer, guys. Free courses, 100% free, no credit card, no commitment of any kind. EcomCrew.com/free to go check that out. All right, everyone, that's going to do it for this week's episode. I want to thank everyone for your support, as always, of the EcomCrew podcast. I don't say this often, but if you do have a chance, go over to iTunes and leave a review. It is quite helpful, and we really appreciate it. And until the next episode, happy selling, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to the EcomCrew podcast. Follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/EcomCrew for weekly live recordings of the EcomCrew podcast every Monday. And please do us a favor and leave an honest review on iTunes. It would really help us out. Again, thanks for listening. And until next week, happy selling.